so I will cover those first, and then I'll give you time to work on it, and I will be here to help guide you. I will definitely post what the expected refund and balance due on the whiteboard, so that anybody who's watching it, and you can, and then you can practice it. And now somebody, Edith, said we don't have the virtual session. Again, I have no control over that, and I'm sure it will be posted. But let me just make a note that I will find out. Sometimes they forget to do it. I don't know, somebody on holidays, so I can probably just post a note in the community discussion, wondering where is the recording? Where is the recording? Is the recording for last one? All right, so we're going to get started. So again, bring up your TPS and we will get started. I'm going to cut my camera. Bye, everyone. Cut my camera and share my PowerPoint to tell you what we're covering today here. There we go. Just a second. Where is my, that's weird. PowerPoint. It figures it's not working for some reason. Here, let me just bring up the PowerPoint. It just died. What the heck? Can you just stop the recording, man? I don't know what happened. It just disappeared. All right. Stopped it. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. We're back after some technical problems. So what are we doing today? We are going to support respectful discussion. Just a second. I got to see the chat so I can see you guys if you have any questions. It's right here. Fantastic. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to open an existing return that we worked on last week. We're going to look at some deductions from employment income, how to enter them in the TPS. We're going to show you or talk about RPP, past service contributions. We're going to show the use of footnotes in the T4. We're going to talk about carrying forward taxpayer information from one year to the next. We're going to show how to do the data entry for employment insurance benefits. We'll show how to do the data entry for the wage loss replacement plans. We will show you moving expenses. We will look at the selling of a principal residence, and we will be comparing prior year data. There's a lot to get going here. Oops, just a second. Okay, so at the end, I'm just looking at my notes here. Okay, so we're going to, basically this is what we're going to do. Navigate the client list. I just already discussed all that. I've already discussed all that. And so we're going to open an existing return. So let us go to TPS. So I'm going to bring my TPS up, and hopefully you've got yours up too. Here, I'm just going to show you. Here's mine. I'm just going to put the TA password in. I know I had a question from somebody who said it was an invalid password. If the password doesn't work, it usually means you have two of the, oh my gosh. You have two instances of DT Max running. You can only have one running per computer. So, okay, so Bonnie said she has no idea what to do with the program as I had to leave. There's no video session to watch. I know, frustrating, Bonnie. I'm so sorry that it hasn't been posted. So, yeah, if you want to watch along, that's fine, but make sure that you do, just practice. Bring up your software and then just follow what I'm doing anyway when we're doing the data entry. All right, so, okay, thanks, Bonnie. All right, so, we're going to look at, you guys probably don't have the number of lists I have here. Usually when you're in the office, it's just huge. So it's a big issue is, finding your client. How do you find your client If you only have a few, it's easy to find it out. However, to find it, we can go here, find your client here. Look at the top bar, find your client. And you can do a search. Right beside find your client is you can do a search by name, client number, social insurance, or your phone number. I don't use it often, but I would probably use the name. Most of the time you wouldn't have a client number because it's randomly, or it's assigned. Social insurance number, for sure. You can definitely do a search by social insurance number or phone number. So I would stick with name. So there's different ways to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up Paul Little's file. So that was the practice problem 16-1. So let me type in Little to find it. You can do that too, or I'm sure you don't. I hit Little, there's my Little. You'll notice that I have two Littles because I was working on, if you want to have multiple versions of the same one, sometimes I will assign them different names. Like, for instance, last night I did AM Tammy White, and I have PM Tammy White because I'm doing an AM class and a PM class. What were you going to say, man?
Nothing.
Oh, I thought you were. Okay. So we have Paul Little here. So they want us to open up Paul Little. So open up Paul Little. So hopefully you guys all had a chance. Let me know in the chat if you did do Paul Little, because that was the first problem, and I think we got through that last class. So yes, okay, good. So we have Paul Little. So it looks like I had, you know what, I should really do, did I have two Paul Littles? I'm going to do Paul Little again. Yeah, I'm going to do it here. Great. So here's my Paul Little, and I'm actually going to change it to AM class here, AM, just so I know which one I'm working on. So basically with Paul Little, this is what we should have for Paul Little, and we had some tips. So that was Paul Little's. So what they want me to show you is we're going to go to his T4. We're just going to add things to his T4. So to open up the T4, we're going to click on the G, and you'll notice that a whole menu of data entry fields shows up. These are the ones we put in when we had our practice problem 16-1. I have it here. So what they want you to do is go to the RPP. So we go to RPP, and RPP is box 20. So click on box 20, and then they want you to add $1,000 in the RPP. And then if there's an RPP, we're going to have to put something in the pension adjustment. So the pension adjustment, okay, so I should have talked to you about that. Anyway, we'll do that. Okay, so on this line, let's put $2,000 in. All right, so add $1,000 into the RPP and $2,000 in for the pension adjustment from the T4. Now we can have union dues. So there's two ways to enter union dues. You notice on the T4 here we have the dues. So let's add $500 to the dues for Paul, all right, on this T4. So $500 dues, and that's on the T4. Now there is another way of adding dues. Sometimes you have union dues that are taken off from the employer, but you also have clients who pay for either professional dues or they pay union dues and it's not through their employer. So how are we going to find out the data entry screen for that? So there's different ways of doing that. I'm just going to close this here. So we're going to go to our Smart Start. So you see the icon for the Smart Start is the little light that's all red. Or you can do Alt F3. I'm going to click on here, and here's your Smart Start. And it's hard when you don't know the keywords here, but it is a deduction, and I believe it's professional dues. Where is it? See, I don't usually do it this way. However, I do believe it's other deductions here? Let me have a look. Let me have a look here. It must be other deductions here, other deductions. Yep. See, other deductions. If you read, I clicked other deductions, and on the right it says clergy, legal fees, dues. So this is one way of getting the dues, but I'm going to take it out. That's one way, and cancel. Then we're going to go to Alt F3. So you can go Alt F3, and it brought up the Smart Start, and then I said that it was other deductions. So that's one way to do it. And here's an easier way to do it. Right click, and then go Add Keyword and type in dues, and then hit Enter, and it brings up the other deduction section, and it's got dues. All right. So in this case, we can add union dues this way, or we can add professional dues. And in this case, Paul is going to have professional dues, and the professional dues are $157.50. So everyone enter that. Then they want to know what is the name of the professional union dues. Usually, it's on the slip. The client needs to bring this in. It can be, the most that I've seen are nursing, dietitian, teachers, and engineer. So my husband's an engineer. His name's Paul, so I'm going to put PEng. I think it's OP-eng now, but anyway, PEng. And then I'm going to enter that. Now it brings up this field called GST credit. Now, union dues never have GST on them. However, professionals dues do. So if you are paying professional dues, you can get a rebate on your GST. So basically, you would put here, was a GST credit paid on it, and go yes, and that's going to create something in the software, which we'll go look at. So I'm showing you two different ways of doing the dues. You do it through it's other deductions, or sometimes it's on the T4. You will never see professional dues on the T4, just union dues. So the next thing we're going to do is recalculate. We're going to go look at our data entry. So how do we recalculate? We can hit Tools, Recalculate Current Client. All right, so it comes up the executive summary, but what we're going to go to is we want to look at tax return summary page 1. So everybody go to the tax return summary page 1 for Paul Little. I'll just give you a minute to see. Let me know that you've got it in the chat, please. That would be great. Got it? Good. You know, it's so hard to tell when you're virtually, and when I'm in the classroom, I can look up and see, I can see everybody's done it. I can walk around. I wish I could walk around and see how you're doing. Anyway, so what are the changes that we made? We added our RPP. So you should have in Paul Little's return, here we are, Paul Little. Bonnie, if you have a cell phone, just take a picture of this because it will help you do the problem at home when you're able to get watch the session. Okay. So there's his personal information. So now I'm going to go to his return here. So what changes we made? We added a pension adjustment and RPP, so we can see that our data has been added, and that's what we expected. We have union dues. We just added $500 on the T4 and $157.50 as professional dues. So they're all represented on line 21200. So that is correct. So then they want us to go down to, at this point now, he has a balance owing. It's a less balance owing than what we had. So, and you would expect that because he's had more deductions. So it's gone from $1,704.93 to $1,354.49. So the other thing they want me to show you is this. Employee and partner GST rebate. Because Paul has paid GST on his professional dues, he gets his credit. This credit is added at the end of the tax return. It's a rebate. So, and it gives him a refund or reduces his balance owing. Now, what happens with this rebate is that it has to be, since this return is being done in 2022, this amount here has to be included in his income for 2022. So you're not going to see this a lot, but I have to show this to you. So if the client comes back to us and we do a carry forward, this information will be in the software. However, if they're new to us, we wouldn't know about it unless we looked at their notice of assessment. So I'm going to go to a diagnostic page in the software. I'm going to go to Notes and Diagnostics. It's on the side. I'm going to click on it. This is just a brief, we are going to cover this later, but basically you're always going to get this message in the office, a student software, because we can't e-file. And, but here's the rebate. So it says here, this rebate claimed is carry forward of the rebate subject to income inclusion next year. The amount appearing on line C is automatically carried forward to the next year and will be included in the income. So if the client comes back to us next year, this will automatically be added. If the client is new to us, the only way you're going to find this information is by looking at their notice of assessment. So I wouldn't get too caught up in this. I'm just showing you what happens, all right? So let us, so that's pretty much the end of that. Oh, and then there's this new form called the GST 370. We will not be doing it as part of this course. We actually do it in level 2, and it can be quite complicated, but we're not doing it. It's just that the software automatically fills that out. You don't need to know this information yet. The other thing I wanted to just show you was, now I'll do that when we change clients. Okay, so here we are. So there's Paul Little. So any questions on what we just entered before we move on? Any questions about this? Okay. Well, only Renita said no. Okay. So Renita's speaking for the class. If you don't speak up for yourself, Renita's going to speak up for you. Good. Adding dues. So Cecil, did you have a question about adding dues? Okay, so we go to here. So basically on the T4, the employer, that would only be union dues. Okay, so I think my audio is still present. Anyway, so to do other dues, we have deductions. It's other deductions. So in this case, we have professional dues. So I'm not sure if you didn't know how to find it. How do we find it? Well, you go add keyword, and I typed in dues, and that brought up my other deduction. Or we can go to the Smart Start, and it's other deductions. So it's other deductions should be here. Where is it? Right here. Yep, other deductions. So that's how we do it. And in this case, you'd have to look on the receipt to see, is there GST. If there is GST, the client can claim a rebate for the GST. So that's pretty much all we need to know about professional dues. Does that answer your question, Cecil? Or Cecile? Cecil or Cecile? Does that answer your question? It's just basically a deduction and how to add the, okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to go back now to, there's a thing called past service contributions, which we briefly discussed in theory, and they can be on a T4 slip or a T4A slip, and they would be entered into the RPP deduction section. So let's go back to here. We're going to open up the T4. So if there were anything, there would be boxes 74 to 75. And so I believe, is that in the footnotes? I believe that's in the footnotes. So so basically, the T4 has a lot of box numbers. We've mostly dealt with these ones here, but there are other box numbers that are used sometimes a lot, sometimes not. But we have a thing called footnotes, and we're going to be using the footnotes. There's a lot of footnotes that you can put in. And we did discuss some of them in the theory. We did do some of the footnotes. So the one footnote they want me to show you is 74, 75. Sometimes there could be adjustments to somebody's RPP. So, yeah, so that's what we're going to do, the footnotes. All right. There's a question. Should we have fixed all the red notes and diagnostics before e-filing? Yes. We're going to cover that in another chapter. We're definitely going to do that. Right now, we're just focusing on starting the basic data entry, and then we will definitely go. But we're not going to overwhelm everybody with everything. But yes, we're definitely will be looking through it before e-filing. Of course, that's the job as a tax pro. And we have a whole section called Quality at Source in which we review all those. So yes, we will do it, but we're not doing it now. Yep. Okay, just a moment. Again, don't, Michael asked, can we see the refund amount? Again, don't focus on that. This is just practice. We don't really care about the numbers. So I'll go quickly to there. So right now with the changes that I made, that we added the RPT and the dues and the GST rebate. Right now it's $1354.49. All right, so I'm going to go back to the footnotes, because now we're going to go to footnotes and we're going to show some other things in the footnotes. Okay, good. Oh, the one thing I wanted to mention to you, too, is that this was mentioned in the community chat. Let's say that you don't have the right version. So you can see that my version of DT Max is V2530. You can see it in the corner there. So if you go to Help in your software, if you go to Help and it says Check for Program Updates, so if you did install the old software, you should be able to get the program updates. You'll notice that mine's grayed out. Mine's grayed out because I can't do it in the office. It happens automatically. All my computer is tied into whatever Calgary head office, and that's where we get all the updates. So I don't do it, but this is one way for you to do it. Now, man, doesn't this happen automatically if you have it installed at home? If you've said yes, you'll accept an update, it happens automatically, right?
Yeah, but it's a good practice to do it every beginning of every class. Once we have not every class, but every training season, we do it at the beginning of it.
Yeah,
but
okay.
It should automatically update. I don't know how it is set up on the student files.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
in the office, it definitely gets updated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And for me, sometimes in my software, I've had the software, and again, I only use it for the student, so I use it a few months, and then I don't use it again, right? So this way works. Okay, so Ying Ying Cheng says, yes, he got the right version that way. You will have to uninstall and lose your data entered and reinstalled. Exactly. That's right, you will. And that's what happened to me on Thursday. I was helping somebody, and then I ended up installing it on mine, and it screwed it up totally. I had to redo the installation. So anyway, go ahead, man.
Sorry, Abby, just one point regarding the losing the data. There is an option where you can extract the data outside, do the update, whatever, and then import it again.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. Yeah. Anyway, you guys didn't have a lot on there, so to me, I feel like, if you do it again, it's just good practice. Anyway, so let's just go off of the check for program update. I thought I'd share that. So let's go back to footnote. So we have Paul, and then we're just going to say that Paul has a Canadian box 43. So where's box 43? If you look at the data entry, whenever you're looking at a T4 and there's no box 43 anywhere, go to your footnotes, okay? So let's go to our footnotes. And you'll notice that there's there's box 31, 39, 41. We have seen the security option deduction box 39. This is where you select it. So we want you to go in and select 43, the Canada Forces personnel. So this is a deduction, and that would have been on his T4. And let's put $2,000 in. So everybody put $2,000 in. And then let's go to box 77. So you'll notice how when you enter in, you select a footnote, it brings up another data entry that you can put in another box number. So let's go to the footnote again, and we're going to go to box 77. Box 77 is repayments of workman's comp benefits to an employer, and so what it means is that he had to pay workman's comp back, so he gets a deduction for it, because it was included in income. So there we go. Now we're going to go to another box number, and we're going to go to 39 and 41. Well, here we have, there's 39, and 39 is going to be, in this case, 39 is going to be 1,500. And then we want to do box 38. Now you'll notice where box 38 is. Box 38 is not in the footnotes. So we're going to put box 38 here. This is why I find this a little confusing, the footnote, what's in the footnotes and what's in the boxes, but we'll just go with it. So anyway, so we're going to put in box 38, we're going to put in $3,000. So if anybody can, you only got 2 footnotes? Well, no, you should be able to enter more than 2 footnotes. So you hit the footnote and it should bring another one up the minute you do 1 footnote. Okay, so what we want people to do is go footnote, select 43 and add 2,000. It'll bring up another entry for footnotes, select 77, put the 200 in, and then we're going to select 39, security options, 1,500, but then the box 38 is 3,000. So I'm not sure. I thought the software in the past it actually had 38 and 39 side by side, either in the footnotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find this a little bit more confusing, man. Do you not?
Yeah, it's weird why you have something on the T4 like box 85.
Yeah.
On the T4, it's in footnotes. On TPS, it's I know what it is.
No, I know. And when I first started, this box 85 was in the footnotes, and then they moved it to here. So honestly, there's no rhyme or reason to this. So, anyway, so one more thing I want to show you, and that is sometimes on this box we have a thing here. It's called placement and employment agency workers, drivers of taxi cabs and other passenger carrying vehicles, or barbers and hairdressers. And there could be fishers. We don't get a lot of fishers in our area. Oh yeah, there's some fishers. If you ever have this on a T4, it means that the taxpayer in this case is actually self-employed, and so you can put the information in. However, you have to do the T2125, which is a tax return, which is a level 4 here in the office. You would have to work for us for at least 4 years to do that. So that would not be your return. So if you had something in these boxes, it actually means that the taxpayer is self-employed, and we're not going to do that data entry. I'm just showing you, explaining to you what that is. I remember it happened to me once in the office, and the client was not very happy because he owed a lot of money. Anyway, okay, so we're done with that. So there's the data entry that we did. So the next topic we're going to talk about, and that is we're going to talk about firefighters and search and rescue volunteers. And I find this is very confusing data entry because I think it's changed many times for Man and myself. So basically, last night I bumbled my way through it with my other class, and then I went home and I had to read the textbook again. So this is from the Inkling. So again, I don't see this a lot in the office. Have you seen firefighter at all? No, I've never seen it. So because most of us live in urban areas, and we have paid firefighting forces, right? So I have tons of firefighters on my street. I knew one of them really well. He used to do Ironman to keep fit, Anyway, okay. So what are we going to do? So we're going to recall our theory, and we recall that tax-exempt payments of up to $1,000 made to volunteer firefighters or search and rescue volunteers are reported in box 87 of a T4 slip. Amounts received in excess of $1,000 are reported in box 14. If the taxpayer doesn't claim the volunteer firefighter amount or the amount for search and rescue, the amount in box 87 is tax exempt. If an amount is being claimed on either line 3122 or 31240, the box 87 must be included in income. So that's just to remind you of that. To be eligible for the volunteer firefighter amount, the taxpayer must have received a certificate. You hopefully all remember this, that states that they volunteered at least 200 hours. If they volunteered at least 200 hours, they may claim that amount, provided they include the exempt income in their income. So TPS automatically includes box 87 in income and claims the credit if it's more beneficial. So basically, we're just going to show you some data entry. So let's to enter this type of income, do this. So let's just start. We're just going to close Paul Little's, and we're going to do another T4 here, okay? I'm just going to make one up, and I'm going to call it firefighter, okay? Firefighter. and then they want us to, and the box, enter the employer's name and the box 14 amount or 0. So let's just put 0 in there. And then it says select in the footnote. So let's go back to our footnotes for this one. So we have a T4 for the firefighter. Let's go to our footnotes, and there is a box 87. Volunteer firefighter exempt amount, search and rescue volunteer amount. So we can enter the amount in the field. Again, I don't have any numbers or anything, but that's where you would put, if there was a box 87 and volunteer firefighter, we can put the exempt amount in. So let's just put in an exempt amount of $1,000. All right. Okay, so let's see what happens in this case. In this case, let's go look at our tax return now, and let's just see. Okay, so basically we have $37,150. Let's go back to his first T4. We have 36. So basically, what did the software do? We have $1,000 of exempt income, and then he can claim the firefighter amount. So look what it did. It even though there was 0 in box 14 there, it added it to our income on line 101, and it gave him the volunteer firefighter amount because the software determined that was more beneficial. So that's just, so I would suggest if you, this is something that you're probably not going to remember because I don't remember it because I don't apply it. So this is a perfect example of, I remember when I was learning, there was something about the volunteer firefighter. I'm going to go back to my textbook because honestly, I don't remember these things. I don't. So Renita asked, what did we do? So basically, in this situation, we have, I'm going to open up this T4. I just created a T4 firefighter, and there was 0 in this amount because he got $1,000 and it was exempt. So basically what the TPS is doing, if he has a certificate that says it was over 200 hours, he can either have $1,000 of it as exempt income or claim the $3,000 of that credit. So the footnote is box 87. We're just doing firefighter. So it's just showing you how the software handles that. All right, so sometimes the taxpayer's income could be very high. It might be more beneficial to forego the claim of $3,000. So anyway, so then we have the situation, that's okay. Then we have the situation where the taxpayer received an honorarium but didn't volunteer at least 200 hours. So we have to suppress that, right? So how are we going to suppress that? So we're going to suppress it by, look at here, right below that T4, I'm going to close this, okay, just so we can see it better. Right below there, it says volunteer. Select the type of emergency service volunteer. So we're going to go, is it a volunteer firefighter, search and rescue, or they're not eligible for the volunteer credit. So I'm going to select not eligible for the volunteer credit. Let's see how it changed the return. So now I noticed that the income, remember his T4 was 30, it was 30, I'm looking at his T4 right now. His T4 was $36,150. You'll notice that the $1,000 is not in there, and you'll notice that there is no non-refundable for the volunteer firefighter amount. So that's basically how you would do this data entry. I would not expect anybody to remember this. If you ever have this in the office, go back to your reference material, all right? So are there any questions on the volunteer firefighter amount? I'm now going to, okay, we covered that. Great. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to another topic. I hope you're all ready. So let's go back to our data entry. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to go to 2020. So do you remember how to switch tax years? We're going to go to, we're in 2021, and we're going to go to File at the top. Okay, so, okay, just a moment. So, Xingjun said that he added the T4 firefighter box. The system said data is missing. Well, let's go back here. Did you put 0? You have to put 0 in. Did you put 0 in box 14? So I put 0 in box 14, and then And then in the footnote, you have to go volunteer firefighter exempt amount, and I put in $1,000. So you have to do those 2 entries. Yeah, sure, save it. We're not doing anything else. We're just using this for demonstrating. Sure, save it if you want. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to move on to let us. Sure, if you want to change it, how you do it? You go File and Save and Close. Sure, Save and Close. All right, and then we're going to go to File, and we're going to change the tax year. We are going to go to tax year 2020. So everybody go to tax year 2020. And here we are. We're changing the tax year. So the one thing I wanted to show you that just a couple of things here. We're going to a prior year. So I'm just going to show you you can see on my screen. You notice how this person is grayed in? That means that we don't have any information for that person. So sometimes we will have a history of a client in our database, and sometimes we won't. If it's grayed out, it means that no data has been entered for the 2020 year, and there was data probably in 2019 year. You'll notice that a lot of these along processing, no data entered, no data entered. So that's what you're going to get in the office. If people have been existing clients, we will see these are ones that we have no data from the prior year. So next. So what are we doing next? Basically, what we have a carry forward of tax files from one year to the next. So it allows a current year return. You can create a current year return based on data from the prior year file, so that certain data doesn't need to be re-entered. So basically what the carry forward does is it applies all the personal information to the new tax return, carry forward unused amounts. And this allows for comparison of current and prior years. And if you've had somebody in the office that's been here for at least 5 years, we have a comparative summary, and that would could show 5 to 10 years. Somebody asked, the grade out doesn't appear on the student version. Yes, it would. It's just that you don't have anything there. This has been populated by Tax Academy just to show you what this graying means. You're going to not have anything. You probably wouldn't, maybe only have 1 entry in 2020. So it will appear on the student. I'm using a student version. You just don't have it because you don't have any. You don't have a database like myself in it right now. So we're in 2020, and we're going to start now our in-class exercises. So if you can all, I'm just trying to grab the line here. So we have in-class exercises for, where did I put it? Oh my gosh. Just a second. Oh, there it is. I got it. Okay, so basically, right now, we're going to start our in-class exercise, and we're going to start in 2020. So anybody who, was it Bonnie, just start following my data entry, all right? So basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a 2020 return for Dave Duncan, and this is our in-class exercise for Chapter 17. So hopefully you all have it. So let me see. I think I've already did Dave Duncan. So here, I'm just going to find Dave Duncan in here. Duncan. Do a search. Oh, did I not save it last night? Oh, I guess I didn't save it. That was a good thing. Oh, you know why? Because I did PM. That's right. There I am. Look, PM Dave Duncan, right? So, but I'm going to do AM Dave Duncan for you guys, right? So I'm actually going to create this client with you. So let's go to our create our client. So again, we can go to the little icon, add the new client, or hit F3. Go F3. We're going to start a new family, and we're going to go OK. We're not going to select any of the Smart Start because we will do that once we've learned enough about the software. So what's the last name? So everybody everybody put in Dave's personal information right now. I'm going to add AM. You don't need to do that, but I'm adding AM just so I can keep it straight. Dave. Oh, jeez. Dave is separated and male, metropolitan area. In this case, he's from Manitoba. So actually, I'm going to go, his province of residence is actually Manitoba. And is there a metropolitan area? I'm going to say that he's in Thompson. I bet he's outside. Anyway, it's immaterial. Don't worry about it. But select outside here. He's got a phone number. I don't know any area codes. They want you to use an area code of your area. I don't know Manitoba. I'm just going to use mine. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes it tells you that it's not an appropriate area code, but I don't know any for Manitoba. So, and we're going to put the email address in because it was given to us. And so basically, and then we'll put his address in here, 85 Public Road, and we're going to change, I know our default is Thompson, and then we're going to select the province as Manitoba. And then we have his postal code, R8N OM3. Whoops. Didn't like how I entered that, so that's fine. R8N 0M3. That's what I did. I put alphabet letter. Okay, so that's basically his personal information. So has everybody managed to put that in? Let me know in the chat if you need any extra time. Slow typer, that's fine. That's basically our information. I'll just wait for maybe another 30 seconds, and then we'll go on to the next step. So we've got his personal information in. All right, so now you'll notice that on the in-class exercises, please enter the T4, all right? So I'm going to close the mailing address and just add the T4, just so it's not so cluttered on the screen. So let's just all enter as T4. He doesn't have any RPP, but he does have his box 22. All right. So I now have all his T4 entry in here. So I entered box 24. You're right. I did do that wrong. It was 50. So I need to add a 0 in there here. All right. So I'm just going to double check. I think I got that right. And double check the fit is 17,546.75. And so there's our data entry. All right, so I'm going to, that's all we need to enter. So Dave was living and working in Manitoba until December of 2020 when he lost his job. He was unable to find new employment, so he moved to your city in April of 2021, where he started a new job on May 1st. He came to your office to get his 2020 return done. So once you have finished putting in his personal information in his T4, let us just calculate the return. You can go Alt F9, or you can just go Tool, Recalculate Current Client. So let's go to our tax return summary, and we will look at it. There's his personal information. Here's his return. Does this make sense? Yes, he has one T4. He had union dues. He has a deduction for CPP. He gets to claim the personal amount, CPP, EI, Canada Employment amount. Basically, he has a refund of $889.73. So just check your data entry, and hopefully you should have the same refund as I do. And the number, oh, by the way, man, the number is incorrect in the instructor guide, so you might want to adjust that for your class, okay? They have the wrong number in there. Let me put on my big surprise face, right? Anyway, all right. I get no tax return is loaded, so so I would go back to the data entry. If it's not, yeah, just ignore that. CRA authorizing or canceling, don't. Okay, so go to data entry, and we're just going to ignore that. I'm going to bring up the e-file. Where is that? It's so annoying. Where's the e-file? So I'm going to bring that up. So if you bring up the e-file and just make sure there's nothing here, take it out. Just go, no, do not transmit this return, and you won't get any of that errors, hopefully. That's just, again, we don't do represent a client in the student version, and we don't do e-filing. So just ignore that. But you should get a refund of $889.73. Irene, if you do not get a no tax loaded, just go out and go back in again. Cecile or Cecil, sorry, Cecile, the check mark. So I'm just doing this. We're going to show you how to do it. But when I go to check my work, I basically go to, I right click, and right down here it says tag keyword check for OK. All right, so check for OK. No, Bluland, the question was somebody was getting an e-file error. If it annoys you, you can just go in and say e-file. So type in keyword e-file and go, do not transmit this return. Do not get that error message. The reason we have it is that this software is used live and we're not using it live, so that's why you're going to get these errors. But we're just going to ignore it because it's not relevant to our problem. So again, I just want to show everyone that this is the refund you should have, $889.73. Is there anybody that wasn't able to get that refund? Go ahead, ma'am. What's up?
Sorry, so we just entered the T4 and yeah, voila, we got the tax return. This is it. So the trick is to know where to enter some of the information. The majority is we download them from the CRA, bam, we get the tax return. In certain cases, as we saw with the footnotes that Liana was showing us, the union dues and so on, it's a little bit tricky. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so this is a relatively simple return. So, Lorraine, did you ask for, did you check, do you have Manitoba as the province of residence? So you have to have Manitoba as the province of residence. So, again, double check your data entry. These are the numbers that you should have. Make sure they're in the correct boxes. So, Lorraine, what was the refund that you're getting? $853. So you're out by 40. It's interesting. $853. Yeah. There's something wrong with it because that's what it says in the instructor guide. So I'm not quite sure. Are you getting a climate action? Okay, that's what it is. You need to go to the metropolitan area. I selected outside of a census metropolitan area. So so if I didn't, then I would get a different. But you should get that. Because let me see, if I take it out and go, it's Winnipeg, because it's not Winnipeg, I'm getting $853. All right. So again, it's immaterial what the refund is. We're just demonstrating it. So I'm going to go here and select again outside of a metropolitan area. So in essence, it's just the climate action that is the difference of the $40 there. Because I don't think Thompson is part of Winnipeg. Again, I don't really know. You don't have to put that in. It's mine didn't even come up. But basically, on what date is the change of marital status? Again, the software they don't know whether or not it was the current year or not. I would just say if it comes up, just put in that it's not current year. All right, Karen. It's funny, mine didn't come up with that. It says separated, and I don't know why yours has come up.
You can always delete it, Leanne.
Yeah, just delete it. Yeah, just delete it. Yeah. It's not relevant. We will talk about that in other sessions. All right. So we're going to move on from Dave. So Dave, we now have is 2020. So now we're going to, let's say Dave left the office and he basically came back another day. So we're going to go in and we're going to go to File. And no, we're in Data. We're going to go to Data Entry. We're going to go File and Save and Close. So it's saved and closed, all right? So now Dave came in and he wants to do 2021. So we're going to go in and change the tax year to 2021. And here we are. So everybody go back and go into 2021. And we're going to, there I am. I got AM Dave Duncan. So you should have a file already carry forward. Notice what it says. No data this year. So it's carry forward from 2020 to 2021. And we're going to open up his file. So hopefully everybody got it. I'm going to click on his file. I'm not going to select any Smart Start. Look what happened here. Now we have some of his information is in here. There's no T4, but look at on the side here. It shows us 2020. So alongside, well, first of all, this is called our current year production. Then we can go to 2020. We have a pull-down menu. We can see many different things. We can do plans. We can do, when we, Man mentioned AFR, T-splits from CRA. Again, we can't do this in the office because we're not live and we can't do it on real clients. But it's showing us the 2020 data. So it's basically 2020 data, and it's also showing us his T4 from 2020. So sometimes this is really helpful because if it's the same employer from one year to the next, you don't have to type it in, but in this case, you didn't have the same employer. All right, so we're going to the most important thing. And when you have carry forward data is that you double check it. You never assume that the data from the prior year is going to be the same as the current year. So if we look at our in-class exercise, we'll notice we always, with every client, we always go, is your address the same? Is your marital status the same? What's your phone number? What's your email? And you'll notice that we're going to go to page 2 of our in-class exercise, and it's going to say we're going to do a Smart Start selection. We're going to select T1 moving. We're going to, he has a new address, he has a new phone number, and it's a new email. So now we're going to change some of the personal information that was carried forward from the prior year. So the first thing to do, let's go to our Smart Start, and we're going to find moving expenses. So again, I can go through it and cursor through and find moving expenses. You know, it's way down here, moving expenses. So this is a really slow way to find another data entry screen. So that's one way of doing it. I'm going to cancel it, but I'm also going to do keyword. So add a keyword, and we know that the moving expense thing is called a T1, M. So hit enter and look at that. It brought up our moving expenses. So we're not going to do that right away. I'm just going to close it, but they're just said to do it now. We know we're going to have moving expenses for Dave. So Dave, what's changed for Dave? Well, his province of residence has changed, so we're going to change it to Ontario. I'm also going to remove this carry forward. We don't need this, so I'm going to select none because it opens up data fields that we probably don't need, so I wouldn't keep it open. Now, he's in Burlington for me, so he's going to be in a CMA area. So you do it for yours. We have a new phone number. So let's see, his new phone number is, again, I'm going to do 905. It's 502-0211, new phone number. And we have he even has a new email address. Good for Dave. So new email address. Here we are, Duncan. At Hotmail. Anybody use Hotmail anymore? Oh my God. Anyway, Hotmail. Okay, so we've changed the phone number. We changed his province of residence, and he has a new address. So let's put the new address in, and it's 367 3rd Street. we don't really have, this is very Calgary, by the way. If you've ever been to Calgary, everything's 3rd Street or 2nd Street or whatever. So anyway, don't tend to have those here in our area. Anyway, so, and I'm going to change it to Burlington. Oops. And it's so hard to type when you have a textbook in front of you. It is so difficult. I know. I don't have a big enough desk. And he has a new postal code. I love it. N1Q1. There you go. Well, you have 3rd Avenue. Okay, yeah. I noticed we were in Calgary and everything's like 7th Street and 43rd Street, and oh my God, it's so, what a boring way to name your streets anyway. Anyway, that's just an aside. Anyway, okay, so we've clarified with Dave that he's got all this new personal information that we have to fit in. The other thing too is we've learned that he moved on April 1st. So what was his move date? So the new address, yes, it's changed, and then it says to what is the effective date. He moved on the 4th, so let's put April 4th, 2021, and I think that's everything that we need to put in. So this is our new personal information for Dave. So hopefully everybody's got that in, and then we can work on his T4. So are we good in the data entry here? Are people good up to this point? And we can move on. Oh, the other thing I want to mention too is that, we don't have any carry forwards of RSP, but, when you're dealing with somebody from the prior year, always double check the RSP deduction, training limit, tuition amounts. Always verify it through the AFR. Do not believe what was carried forward, because you don't know if the person before you did the data entry correctly, you don't know if there were changes. Maybe he didn't enter some T4s and some of the information will change from one year to the next. So we never trust it without double checking it. All right, so he didn't work the first part of the year. Oh, they want us to enter, sorry, I'm just looking to see what else they want us to put in. All right, okay, yeah, with new mailing address, date of move. Let's enter his T4 now, all right? So I'm going to close the mailing address because I can't stand having all these things up. For demonstration purposes, I'm moving my keyboard so it's easier for me in my textbook and my keyboard. All right, so let's put in his T4. We have it on our in-class exercises, so everybody do it. Box 16. He does have RPP, so that's interesting. And he does have a pension adjustment. And his fit. And then we have box 24. All right, and he has, I think that's everything. So we have, that's the first box, and then I always check that his fit. That's just me, I always check fit. All right, and then we have 56,300. All right, so hopefully I didn't make any mistakes in that. So that's the data entry for the T4. So excellent. So how are we doing with the data entry for Dave's T4 for A and A Packers? How are we doing? Let me know. And did I make any mistakes? You guys can check my work, okay? You check my work. Good. All right. So Dave didn't work the first part of the year. His only income was EI benefits. So now we're going to enter in some EI benefits. So it's not on the T4. We're going to go to the T slip. So I mentioned to you that the software is set up, preset with certain ones that come up right away. And so the T slip's already there. So let's open up the T slip. And we're going to go to the drop-down menu under T-slip. Look at all the T-slips. We've seen some of them, T3s, T4As, T4A Old Age Security, T4AP, that's the CPP. We've seen T4E, T4 RIF, T4 RSP, T5. So what we're going to do is select T4E. So everybody select T4E, and it comes up with the boxes we need. We don't have to put a name in here because the T4E is just the employment insurance. But we do have to enter the rate, and you'll notice on his thing, his rate is 30%. It's very important to put in a 30% rate because it's either going to be 0 or 30%, and it will calculate the clawback. So basically, they're saying is that his clawback will be 30% if his income is over the threshold. So that, and then we're going to put in the box 14 and 15 and box 22. So we're going to put both that box in, and then we're going to do the fit, which in this case is 1505. So that is our data entry for the T4E. Fairly simple. All right, so what we're going to do is, if you've gotten that done, we're going to move on from that. We're going to now look at his return to see, is there a clawback? So let's go to tax return, calculate. Now you'll notice that I get this warning and you should get this warning. So I'm not sure if we talked about it last class, but this is a thing that annoys tax pros in the office, because basically what the software is going is like, your CPP contribution is inconsistent with what the software is expecting. So this is just a double check, right? So basically we need to clear these error messages. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to keyword, click on go to keyword. It takes us back to our data entry. I'm going to hit close, and you'll notice that it's highlighted. So it's asking us double check. So go and look on your slip, your T4 slip, and is box 16 316645, and it is. So I'm going to make a note in the software. Again, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go tag keyword checked OK, or you can use the little equal sign here. So I could use this or use the equal sign. So the software is saying just double check your data entry. So I did double check it, and I put a little tick mark. And I just showed you two ways of doing it. You can use the equal sign, or you can just use the right click and go to what we just did. Right click, tag that it's checked OK, and it is. So now I'm going to go back to the tax return. You'll notice that my error message is gone, and I'm going to go. First of all, here's Dave. So we have his employment income, his EI. We have his pension adjustment and his RPP deduction, his CPP enhanced deduction. What are some of his non-refundable? We have a social benefit repayment of $50.25. So we're going to go look at the federal worksheet. So let us click on federal worksheet. So here's the federal worksheet. So this always throws me in the TPS because we spent so much time manually doing these returns, and the federal worksheet is like, remember, with 8 pages. So what happens in the software is just you don't see the full 8 pages. You only see the relevant part. All right, you only see the relevant part. So what this is telling us is that the software calculated a repayment of the EI, and you will notice here that this here is Dave's net income minus whatever relevant amounts, and there's the base. So his return, the EI pushed him over the threshold by 167, and it calculated that 30% of that 167 is a repayment, a social benefit repayment. If your getting calculation failed, then you need to go back to your data entry and you need to go look here. All right. So clearly you haven't put the data in incorrectly. So just look at my data. So Satish, if you need to go and make sure that this is what you've entered for the T4. There's the T4A and the T4E. So if you've entered that correctly, you shouldn't get anything failing. And Bonnie says, I would have understood this so much better if I'd seen the certs. I know. As I'm going through this, I'm realizing that I really liked the prior way we've been doing this, we have learned the theory and then applied in the software. I discussed this with my husband last night, who's a teacher, and he totally agreed. So, yeah, Satish.
That's another comment you can add to the Tax Academy questionnaire.
That's right, yeah. Some ways that maybe the learning would have been easier, right? So it's hard to check when you're following up online. Yeah, visual learner, yeah. Okay, so Satish, it's hard to check. Mine says load. It says no taxes loaded. Okay, so if that happens, Lorraine, just go out of the data entry, go to your client list, come back, and then just hit recalculate. All right, hopefully that, yeah, that happens sometimes. We get that. Do you get that message too sometimes, man?
Oh, yeah.
So
I just keep on recalculating.
Yeah.
Eventually it comes.
That's right. So basically what I was just showing here was that in the software, we've determined that the software determined for us that there is a social benefit repayment. So again, that's a deduction from his income, but then he pays it down here. There's federal tax, then we have the social benefit repayment and the provincial tax. And we saw that. Oh, that's good, Lorraine, yeah. So you see, Man and I know all these little tricks. So Renita says her line 40400 is different. 404, okay, so that is, so maybe you didn't, again, you need to go back to the T4, Renita, and box 22, you'll have to select the tax that is for Ontario. And for Ontario, it should be 13,278.64. So go to your T4 and go to your FIT here, and it should be 13,278.64. So that was just a data entry if you don't have the same number. Okay, so then maybe you have, but what about your FIT here? On your T-slip, the FIT should be 1505. So you should have, so it should have 13,278.64 and 1505. And then, again, do you have that he's in the province of Ontario? You have to have Ontario. So, Renita, do you have Ontario there? So, I'm not sure what is the number that you have on that. So, if you're saying this is what number do you have? Because we have 11,754.81, which is the box 22 of the T4E, and it should be the 13,278 plus 1505. That should be as far as. I'm just going to add this up here just a second here. Clear. There we go. Okay, whoa, open. Come on. Okay, 1505 plus 13,278.64. So this number should be, I just added it up wrong here. 1505. Oh, God, I hate this calculator. Plus 13,270. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. So basically, that's just tax on federal income. No, this is just the tax calculator. So you're saying that the tax calculator is incorrect. Oh yeah, so 234,638. You have 234,668. That doesn't make sense there. So I don't know why you're so if you're saying that your line 40400 is 23, you haven't added the information correctly. So can you please just check that your data entry is this? Because I think you've made a mistake with the data entry there. Because it doesn't make sense. Because that is, the software is calculating the tax. So I'm not sure what people have here at this point in time. You should have a refund of $1370.28. And the only reason I'm giving that number out is that to show that your data entry is following along with mine. So does anybody have anything different? So you do have the $1370.28 Bouland? Okay, good. So this is what we should have. So Renita are the same but different. Okay, again, so Renita, what I suggest you do is that if you want to practice it, I have to move on. Just take a picture of this because this is the correct data entry. So take a picture of that. That's the first part, and then I'll go to the bottom part. And I'm going to have to, I have to move on. All right. So I'm not sure. The only thing I can think of is that you have the wrong. No, don't give up, Rita. It's really don't give up. Please don't give up. No. If you go back to your data entry, all we did was you have to make sure that the provinces of residence have to be, yes, there you go. You have to be in 2021. That's true. Remember, I asked everybody to go into 2021, so that could make a difference if it's not 2021. All right. Yeah, we're going to be moving on to moving expenses. Make sure the province of residence is Ontario, and then this is the data entry. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is wage loss replacement. So remember about wage loss replacements. Okay. So Renita, please check that you are in 2020. Again, the purpose of this is just to show you the data entry, right? So let's not just focus on the numbers, but it's just the data entry. We're going to have plenty of practice. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is, here I'm just making sure that we've got that, the federal worksheet. We showed the clawback. So wage loss replacement income may be reported in box 14 of a T4A or box 107 of a T4, sorry, that was a T4 slip, box 14, or box 107 of a T4A slip. And you recall that if the taxpayer made contributions to the plan that were not deducted, they may be deducted from this income. So the data entry in the TPS is different depending on what slip. So if the taxpayer didn't make contributions to the plan or already has deducted anything available, you would just, any available amounts, you would simply enter the amount from the TA slip and there'd be nothing else. However, if the client made contributions to the plan and the contribution amount qualifying for a deduction, it must be reported. These are the steps that you're going to do it. So if he had wage loss replacement, we're going to do an example of wage loss replacement, and he has got a box. Okay, yep. I'm just looking to see what. If he made contributions, then you reduce the amount from box 14 by the qualifying income. So in this case, you're going to use the footnote again. So let us go back. If you look on your in-class exercises, we have a thing just below the T4E slip. It says wage loss replacement plan benefit. And they're saying T4 box 15 or T4 box A box 107. I don't know why they put both in. Anyway, we're going to go to our T4. So we're going to do another T4. Oh, this is weird. What are they asking me to do? So T4, we're going to go into his T4, open up his T4 here. We're going to go to the footnote. So we're going to go to the footnote here. And in the footnote, there's going to be a box F10130. Honestly, here it is right here. Note, wage loss replacement contribution. So what we're going to do is that the wage loss replacement benefits were $2,000, and he made contributions to the plan of $500. So we're going to hit enter, and we're going to put $500 in here. So that $500 is that the wage loss replacement income was already in his T4, and then he contributed $500. So how is this going to show on the tax return? So again, go to the T4, go to the footnote, and we're going to go to this note at the very bottom of it, and it says wage loss replacement contributions. So now let's go back to his tax return, and then you will notice that we have wage loss replacement contributions, and it's saying $500, which is what we expect, right? Because he had contributions that he can reduce his income. We're making the assumption that the whole amount was already included in his income and he gets this deduction. So please put that in. I think that's all they want me to do for this. Let the students enter the amount on the files if they were reported on T4. Yeah, that's what we've done. Okay, so now, so that's the one way of doing it. So the second way to do it is if it was on a T4A slip. So let's go back to our data entry. And if it was a T4A slip, it's slightly different. So let's go to, if it's a T4A, I don't know if they want me to actually do a T4A. I guess they want me to do a T4A slip. So let's just go and do bring up T4A slip. And we're going to select, we're going to go back to the footnotes here. And you'll notice that it's, oops, here it is, premiums paid. So you notice on the T4A, it's a little different. There's a note of payments from a wage loss replacement plan, premiums paid. So we're going to, here, let me just find my notes here. So then we can put it on, we can put $500 here. Where is it here? Premiums paid, we're going to go $500. And then in this case, we would put the amount in here as other, I guess. It should be 107. It should post to box 107. So it should be box 107. So we're going to go to here, box 107, payments from a wage loss replacement. So, so this is how you would do it. If it wasn't on the T4, it's going to be on a T4A. So we would do it payments. In this case, the in-class exercise says $2,000 for the benefit and the contributions are $500. This is how you would enter it for the T4A. You select box 107, and you notice where I got that. There wasn't 107. It's kind of like a footnote. And we put 2,000 here. Then we go to the footnote to enter the premiums paid. So this is the same data entry to get the same result. Again, you're not going to see this very often, and don't worry about it because you have a resource to go to. You'll be going, how do I enter that again? You're going to go back to your textbook. And if you're brilliant and you can remember it, well, hallelujah to you. Anyway, are there any questions about that? That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. Remember how there's two ways of reporting it? You can report it on the T4A or you can report it on the T4. So I'm just showing you the different ways of doing it. I mean, it's not intuitive in any way. I find this extremely clunky data entry. So no, I'm just showing you. We actually have it twice on Dave's. So I'm just showing you the T4A way. We're saying that he got a $2,000 payment and he had a $500 that can be deducted from it. So the T4A is one way of doing it. The T4, the other way is we assume it's already. I just assumed the $2,000 was already in his income, and then we have a footnote where the contribution was $500. So let's just go and look. So now I've double added it. He should have, no, it didn't double add it. So wage loss replacement, and then it shows other employment income. So again, it's on different lines. So basically with a T4, we have the deduction on line 10330, whereas if it's with a T4A, it shows up on line 104 and it's $2,000 minus the 500. So we don't have to deduct it, we just have to, yeah. So I have it in twice and I'm showing you the two different ways how the software does it. That's all we're showing here. All right, so hopefully we can move on. Are there any more questions about the wage loss replacement plan benefit? It would have been nice had they just, given us one and not, given us two, but so that's basically how you do it. Okay, so I think we're going to take a break, and then when we get back from the break, we're going to do the moving expenses, and then we'll be pretty much done what we need to learn for today, and then we'll do practice problems. All right, so if everybody's okay, we'll go for a break. I'm just going to put break from it's 10:25 to 10:40. Okay, if you want to work on the practice problems on your break, or just take a break and do what you want, okay? Anyway, so I will leave this up for you to review for Dave. Actually, I'm going to take out one of the wage loss replacements. I'm just going to take, I'm going to take this one out here. All right, so let's just take one out, and then we can see that other employment income is 2,000 minus the 500, and at this point you should have a refund of 608.96. Not that it's that relevant, but I will leave this up, and I'm going to go for a break, and you guys go for a break, and we will be back in 15 minutes, and we will do the moving expenses. All right, so no questions. I'm going to just stop. No, I'm going to keep sharing. Anyway, can you stop the recording, man? Fantastic. Okay, so break time. See you guys all in 15 minutes. Bye for now. I see you got a phone call. I'll take your phone call. That's good.
No, I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, just start the recording. So I'm just going to address some of the questions. So one of the questions is the text said that if using the T4 method to manually reduce the income by the employee contribution, sure, we can do that. Yeah, I did double check it. Yes, it does say to do that. That's fine. And then the other thing, Zin Jun said, how do I know the 2,000 should be included in the T4's box 14? I believe that we already discussed that in the theory, and I think it's already included, but I'll check that later. I'll just make a note to, I think it's already included in there. So then it's just the deduction we have to do. So box 14. So in that case, we went to the footnote. In that case, we just went to the footnote and we selected the wage loss replacement contribution. So, all right. So we're going to go on to moving expenses. That's way more important than wage loss replacement plans. Anyway, so Dave Duncan moved from Thompson, Manitoba to our city in 2021. All the expenses were incurred in the year. So you'll notice that the last page of our in-class instruction is all the moving expenses. So let us go to moving expenses. I already showed you where it was in the Smart Start, but if you missed it, I'll show it again. So I'm going to close the things that don't need to be open. We don't need the T4 open anymore, and we don't need the T4E open. So you can see that I have, did I do moving expenses? I guess I didn't. So I'm going to go back to the Smart Start, and I can go and cursor down, which is a really tedious way to do it. But we have, where is it now? Again, it's such a tedious way to look. There it was, moving expenses here. So we can either find it that way, or we can go keyword T1M. So I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to go add keyword and go T1, M, hit enter, and now I have the moving expenses up. All right, so is everybody good with that? The moving expenses are up, and we're going to start entering the data. Great. Okay. Just a second, I gotta. Okay. So here we are with moving expenses, and we have the last page of the in-class exercises. And so let's find out about Dave. So Dave moved, and we're going to calculate using the simplified method. Basically, the simplified method is typically the most beneficial for the client. Certainly in the case of calculating the kilometers per rate, and then for the food, because a lot of times, you know, the food costs are actually less than what you're given. All right, so we're going to do the current year simplified method. I think most of the time I've ever done it, I've never done detailed. What about you, man? I've done many moving, and it's always been simplified.
Yeah, the majority I've done was simplified, but I had
simplified.
Yeah,
it's not that much different doing the detail, but we tend to focus on the simplified. But you can look at it, and as we're going through, you can do a double check to make sure, yeah, this does make sense, right? Here, so let me, there we are, moving expenses, and here, okay. All right, so let us put in, okay, so again, so remember when we did the moving expensing, it was a lot of data entry of what is the address of the former residence and the address of the new residence. So we're going to be doing address of the former residence, address of the new residence. So we're going to enter in address of the new residence and the new workplace employee business number. So let's all enter that in. So we're going to go to address of the former, and it has, and we knew it was 85 Public Road. And that was Thompson. So everybody enter in. Again, it's Manitoba. And we have the postal code. And we don't have to put country in because we're in Canada. However, if it was moving from another country, and you'd put in their zip code, but that you don't have to enter that information. So I'm going to go to the next one. So now you'll notice that the address of former residence is grayed out because we've already put that information in. Now we're going to do the address of his new residence. And I think that there's an error in this, and it says that his new address is 2nd Street, but I thought that it said his new address was 3rd Street. So, so in your in-class exercises, they actually have the wrong address because it says his current address was 367 3rd Street. So we're going to put that in, and N1Q1Q1. So don't follow along. Follow what I'm doing. It's 367 3rd Street, and it's Burlington, Ontario for me. Oops. And it's Ontario, and it's N1Q1Q1. And again, we don't have to do a country or zip code. So now we have our address of former residence, address of new residence, and now we're going to enter in what is the current address. So we're going to, why are we doing this? Address of new residence, address of the new, we're using current address here. And then we're going to go address of the new workplace. So now the workplace, they've given it to us. And I'm going to say that in the office, sometimes you don't have this address because I usually have to look onto the T4. But so sometimes this can be a little bit challenging to find. Okay, and it was 1910 Commercial Road, and it's, we'll say Burlington. Oops. And Ontario, and the postal code is N2Q 4T4. Okay. Again, no country or zip code. So now we have address of former residence, address of new residence, use current address, and the address of the workplace. So the next box could be address of new school. And in this case, he didn't move to go to school. All right, so that's our first part of our data entry, which should be familiar to us because we've done the T1M manually, correct? So next, we're going to go to the moving date, and they gave us a moving date of April 4th. So we're going to date moved out of the, oh, sorry, I meant to hit 4 and I didn't. There you go. So that's the date moved out of the former address. Then we actually have the date started in the new job, which is May 1st. So hopefully you've got that. This is just really basic information. Again, it's a lot of data entry, but that's what we need to put in here. Interesting why they had two different addresses here. Anyway, all right, so distance. So the next thing is, what is the distance? So it's asking us, what is the distance from the former residence to the new location? And again, we're being spoon-fed in the problem because I've never had a client who actually brought me this. We usually have to calculate it, right, Nan? And I remember there used to be MapQuest. I used to MapQuest everything, and I still use that. And my family looks at me like, "Oh, Mom, what are you talking about? What the hell's MapQuest, right? Anyway, so you would Google it, right? So Google it. Luckily, they've given it to us. So there you go, 2100. Then we want to know the new residence to the new location, and in this place it's 10 kilometers. So again, you should be realizing that this data entry is just what we would write manually onto the T1 form. Yeah, Bonnie, it's not a lot of data entry after doing the manual forms. Yeah, it's not. The manual forms are a nightmare, certainly. But yeah, so you're doing the same data entry here. Okay, so we've finished that section. Then we have our transportation and storage costs. So we have our mover costs. So they want us to write in what it is: U-Haul and trailer rental, and the amount for that was $250. I don't know if anybody saw the news item yesterday about U-Haul was not guaranteeing reservations. So this one guy, booked it months in advance, went to go get his U-Haul, and they go, "Oh, we didn't say you'd actually have one here waiting for you." It was like, really? Anyway, I thought it was interesting that we're using U-Haul. Anyway, so U-Haul, $250, and then travel costs. So what is travel cost? It's our accommodation. So our accommodation is $615. So we're going to put in accommodation $615. Basically, in the problem, it says that okay, let me just see here. If he still lived at I'm just making sure that we've got all the data in. Yeah. So here it says that he spent 2 nights in the hotel while in transit. So we're going to select accommodation from the menu on the travel cost line and enter in $130. Oh, it was only $130, not $615. Huh. Okay. Sorry, I got the wrong amount here. It's $130. Sorry. Accommodation is $130 because it was only 2 nights in the hotel. All right. Then we have the travel province. So he started his travel in Manitoba. And if you recall from our theory, each province has a different rate that we can vehicle rate. And I remember we looked at that and we did it manually, but in this it's going to look up, the software will look up, oh, his province where he started the traveling was Manitoba. We're going to use the rate for Manitoba. So you don't have to look it up. The software is going to have it for you. What is the travel method here? It's by vehicle. It's a vehicle, or you can put car in, vehicle, okay? Then we're going to have travel information. So let's go to the travel information and what this is asking us for. What were the number of household members in the move? So how many were? Well, there's only, it's just him. So then they also want to know what were the number of kilometers travel costs. The number of kilometers travel cost is 2120. So that was different than this. So this here is just your if you looked at the distance before, it was just, from your old location, new location. This is actually the number of kilometers that he recorded. So that's in there also. Then we need to know, it says number of nights for accommodation, and in the problem it says 2 nights. So we got 2 nights. So we just entered the method of travel, and we put in the accommodation cost traveling, which is different than if he moves and he has to stay in a hotel. It's different. So that should be that data entry. Then we're going to move on to, oh, we already did that. Just a second here. I'm checking my notes here. Okay. So now we're into lodging costs. So lodging cost is, this is reflected, you notice what it says in the very bottom of the TPS. It says lodging cost, accommodation expenses related to temporary living. So we have in our problem temporary accommodation. So we're going to go accommodation 1, and it was $290. $290, yeah, I can see it there, $290. And it, we don't have a second one. Then it's asking us to put the name of the lodge and the number of nights. So they gave us the Star Motel, and that's in Burlington. And it was for 5 nights. Yep, 5 nights. So that's in your data entry, okay? 5 nights. Fantastic. We don't have any other accommodation, so now we're going to go to meals and travel. It says number of days when you were traveling. So the number of days in transit, he was 3 days in transit, and then the number of meals is 3 days times 3 meals, so this should be 9. And then you'll notice in the data entry, it says the meals, what he spent was 105. But that's not what we're putting in, because we're doing for the detailed, we would put in 105, but in here we're going to do the simplified. It's 3 times 3 times, I believe it's the 27, so it's going to be more, right? Do you remember? And you can see how that is more beneficial. So here, let's go to, we got 3 times 3 times 27, so he's going to be able to claim more than the 105. So that's why we're doing simplified. All right, so then the next thing is meal cost. So this is the number of meals related to the temporary living. So in this case, we find out he was 5 nights in number of days in a hotel. And so it was number of days is 5. Number of meals is going to be 5 times 3 is going to be 15. All right, so again, we know that he paid $178, but he's going to be able to make a bigger claim. So we'll do that once we've finished our data entry. Now he doesn't have any other expenses. However, do recall that some of the moving expenses that you can claim are leasing costs, or here we have other costs to maintain the old residence. We have selling costs. We have other things to enter. Maybe he bought a place and he had legal fees, so that's where you would put it in. In this example, we don't have any. We will do more examples of moving expenses, but in this one, we're just focusing on the moving costs. This part here shows the allowance, so there's nothing in the problem to say he received an allowance. If he received an allowance, then we would put it, and it wasn't received in income, we would put it in here and it would deduct there would be a deduction from his claim. Now, this is the key number here, the income, federal net income after the move. So, do you remember that it's not just from the T4? We know that he started a new job after he moved, and his income there on his box 14 of his T4 was $61,000. Then we have to deduct certain deductions. So we'd have to deduct from the $61,000, $3,000 for the RPP, and $287.50 for the enhanced CPP. So the number here is $57,712.50. So if you want, I'll put it in the chat how we calculated his income. Sorry about that. So 61,000 minus the 3,000 minus the 287.50, and that is how we got the 57,712.50. All right, so you can check that later, but just maybe make a note of that. All right, so now we've entered all of his costs, and I'm just checking one thing here that we didn't talk about. No, we're good. We're good. I think we're good. All right, so now let's go. We're going to calculate our tax return. Hopefully everybody's been able to put this in. I mean, it is a lot of, you can't see number of meals in my form, only meals cost there. So meals cost, but once you put the information in, it'll bring it up. All right, so I cannot see number of meals in my form, only meals cost there. Are you talking about your data entry, or are you talking about looking at the T1M form? I'm just waiting for Zinjin, if you can just... There's two. We have our travel cost number of meals, and it's 3 days, but you need to put in number of meals. Once you put in this number, it should bring up number of meals. Okay, so let me just delete that keyword. If I delete that keyword, and then I'm going to open it up again, and I'm going to see that meals travel, and I was told that the meals travel, they were, we need to have number of days. So it was 3 days. You hit 3 and it opens up. All right. And then now you're going to put in the 9 and it opened it up. So, all right, so now I'm going to go to the tax return, and we're going to go to calculate, and we're going to go to his return, and we're going to go look on the deduction part, moving expenses, on line 21900, and you should have for moving expenses a deduction of $23.24.40. So can you let me know in the chat if that was something that, did you get it? Okay, good. Thanks, Abby. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, that means that the data entry is pretty good. So let us go back and look at the T1M form. All right. So when I'm in the office, if I'm doing somebody's, I'm always looking at this to make sure that I've captured everything and it makes sense, right? So a lot of times I will print it out, and I will, a lot of times people don't come in and they don't actually know what they can claim. So a lot of times I find that I can't do moving expenses in one session because they haven't brought all the information in. Oh my gosh, so many emergency vehicles going on here. So we can see here that you'll notice that our software has calculated the difference between the calculation of distance in kilometers. He clearly can claim moving expenses. We have our details of the move. We have addresses of the old home, the new home, the employer. Then we go on to the nitty-gritty. So we have our transportation costs. We have our number of kilometers. Look at what the travel costs are. The meal expense was $207. And yet if we look back at our in-class exercise, it says, what is his receipted total for the meals? It was 105. Well, it's so much better to do the simplified because he's getting credit for 207 for meals, and yet he only spent 105. So clearly it's more beneficial to do the simplified. Now let's compare the meal expense to his temporary living expenses, and that's 345. And if we look back again on the information we were given for the in-class exercises, he paid 178. So it's clearly more beneficial in this case to do a simplified method. I also want to point out here the number of kilometers, so we can number of kilometers, and that was the credit he's getting, and it's based on the per kilometer rate. So let's go. Let's see what rate it is, and it's 2120 divided by 1102.4. So the rate is what is that rate?
52 cents.
52, so 52. Do you remember what it was for Ontario? I thought it was 57.5 for Ontario, wasn't it? Yeah. So basically, yeah. So we don't have to calculate it. Remember how we had to do it manually? We had to find out, look it up. Here, the software does it for you because we put in the data entry. Again, he had none of these expenses were mentioned in the problem. He didn't buy a new home. There was no reimbursement. You can see here we have our total moving expenses, and then if there had been reimbursement, it would have been adjusted. We also have here the what was his income at the new location, and again, it's adjusted, right? So it's I showed you the adjustment there, and it's 57.7, 12.50, and moving expenses. He can claim all his moving expenses, so there's no carry for it. So there's moving expenses. Hallelujah. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else they want me to tell you. Anyway, so are there any questions about that? Sure is easier, isn't it? So let me see. What else does it say here? It says moving expenses that cannot be claimed in the year that were incurred can be carried forward. And so as long as the taxpayer works for the same location, they can claim it in the next year. The TPS automatically carries the undeducted portion of the moving expenses forward and applies it to the next year's return. Okay, thank you. Yep. So again, so that's just how the software works. So we just have 2 more little sessions to do. You can access the T1M for parts instead of your textbook. Yes, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're going to go move off of moving expenses. We are going to get good practice with it. So the next thing I'm going to show you is we're just going to close the moving expenses. I'm going to show you that employment expenses. You know, a lot of people were in COVID and they could claim the flat rate, so we're going to show you how to do that. So we're going to find it in our Smart Start, and it's going to be employment expenses, T777. So in the Smart Start, you would select that, or let's do the keyword, which I prefer, add keyword, T777, and we're going to go OK. And it brings up employment expenses. Again, this is a level 2 course. It's like a very involved course. However, there were so many people who could claim the flat amount that we needed to train level 1s to do this. So we're going to select T77S, temporary flat method. And so basically to qualify for it, you had to have worked more than 50% of the time from home for a period of at least a month due to COVID. So we're going to say, yes, he did qualify. And then we need to know number of days. So I can't tell you the number of returns that we had with this, right, man?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was a lot of them, yeah. So in this case, we're going to put, we're going to say that he worked for 4 consecutive weeks in 2021 for 20 days. And he's going to be able to claim the flat method. There is a detailed method. I'm not going to show it to you because it's more involved. And the after doing many of these, usually the detailed method does not produce a better result. More of a deduction because most people don't have rent. If you have high rent, it's better to do the detailed, but we're just going to show you the flat. So let's go and look at the tax return now, and let's go to the tax return summary, and we'll see that he has a deduction for employment expenses of $40, which makes sense because let's go look at the T777. Basically, he can claim $2 for every day he worked from home, so he's got a $40 deduction. All right, so then the last thing that we're going to discuss is principal residence. So remember what happens when we have a principal residence. We need to report it, and the gain on a principal residence is as long as we've declared it the year, we won't have to pay tax on it. So where are we going to find this data entry? We're going to find it under capital gains here, capital gains. So I'm just going to select capital gains in my Smart Start, go to continue. And there we have capital gains. All right, capital gains. And then we're going to go to, we have menu options. And in the case of a principal residence, it is personal use property. So we're going to select in the capital gains section, personal use property. You can put the address in. I'm just going to put that he sold his home in Thompson. I'm just going to put in Thompson. Residence, principal residence. You don't even have to do that. Principal residence. Okay. All right. Date that it was disposed of. Well, we're going to say that he moved the property sold on the 4th of April, 2020. They only want to know the date, not the year. Okay, we'll have to come back to that, Zinjin. I just want to get everything covered, all right? So we're working on principal residence now. We don't have to calculate this. This we'll calculate later. The date that he acquired it is the July 1st, 2015. So we're going to put in July 1st, 2015 is the date of acquisition. What did he sell his place for? $199, da-da-da. So there. So I want you to put that data in here. So that is the capital gain. That is the capital gain. Then we will, we go down to this part here, principal residence, designation. We are designating this property as his principal residence. So again, we're going to have to put in his address, and, oh, I have to go find his, darn. I have to find the sheet. Oh, this is his sheet here. Just a moment. And we were 85 Public Road. Public Road, and it was in Thompson. And again, we were in Manitoba, and the postal code R8N OM3. I've done this so many times, I almost remember it. All right, so that's the information we have to enter. And then the designation here, we're going to say after 1971 to current year. What are the years we're designating it from? Well, the year that he owned it up to 2020. So that's sheltering all the years. Oh, wait, is that not liking that? It's 2020, sorry. 2020, yeah. All right, so this is the data entry we're going to do for the principal residence. All right, and so now let's go and look at our Schedule 3 now. So we have our Schedule 3, and on our Schedule 3, you'll notice in the section Personal Use Property, it says Principal Residence, and there's no gain or loss. This is what we expect, right? Because the gain on the Principal Residence is exempt. So then we're going to go down here, and we've selected it correctly. It should be box 1 saying, I designate the property to be my principal residence for all years owned, and that's all that we need to do. So in this case, I have to go back to my notes. So in this case, basically, we'll print this out with the we'll print this out when we do our tax return. The client must sign it, and they will have a copy, and then it will be e-filed. If you are paper filing it, then you would have to print this form out and have him sign it. All right. So, so what do we have here? Yeah. So that's right. It's the T2091. Oh, sorry. Yeah. We need to go to the T2091. Sorry, I forgot about that. So not only are we doing the Schedule 3, we have the T2091. Here is the information we entered. What was the address? What was the proceeds? The year of acquisition? All the years are designated, and so this is where you're going to sign. So the client has to sign it in the office. We keep a copy in our file. We give them a copy. If we're paper filing it, we would send it. So that's how we do the 2021. All right, so I think that we have 2021. Let me see, principal residence. All right, so somebody had a question about the T1 moving expenses, and he's saying Zinjin said he has a different amount of transport cost. So what transport cost do you have? This is the transport cost we have. So which number is different? Zinjin, what is the different number? I know, but I've got it up, so just tell me. Here's the detail. So you tell me, where is your number different? So, Raymond, I'll get to your question in just a moment. How it comes to 1,102.04. This is a calculation. I'm going to go back to the data entry. If you go back to the data entry for the moving expenses, what they've asked for is travel costs. They want to know travel information, the number of household members, and then they wanted to know the number of kilometers, which is 2120. So you have to have that information there. So if you didn't get that, then that is different information than the distance here is listed in the in class exercises. So number of kilometers traveled here should be 2120, and the travel province has to be Manitoba. Sorry, it has to be Manitoba. So that is what you, again, you're not supposed to be calculating it. The system is calculating it for you. I'm not sure where you're getting the 55. Did you say it was 55, man, for Manitoba?
52.
Yeah, it was 52. So I don't know where you're getting the 55. It wasn't given in the problem. Basically, the software is saying that the rate, yes, it has to be Manitoba. Exactly. All right, good. Okay, now we solved that problem. We have Ray. One scenario, re-principal home. A retired couple bought a condo prior to selling their principal home. How much time CRA allows the couple must sell the principal home to avoid capital gain? Again, I'm going to have to look into that, Raymond, so I'll just make a note of your question and we'll come back to that. All right, probably I don't have time right now, but right now I'll just I'm going to copy it. Sorry, I'm going to take a picture of it. Sorry. Easier for me to take a picture of your question, and I will get back to you, okay, on that. All right? Okay, and I'll make a note to get back to Ray about that, but we're just going to finish our Ray question, principal resident. Okay, I'll take care of that later. Okay, so we basically covered everything that I need to do. So, yes,
Sorry,
yes, ma'am.
There's another question.
Did he sell a house? Why the year designation? Okay, so again, we talked about this during the principal, when we talked about principal residence. The thing is, if he's bought another place, the best way to do the data entry, which we clarify this and cover this exclusively in level 2, but I'm just telling you that if he didn't buy a house, let me go back to capital gain. If he didn't buy a house, it's basically there's a +1 in the calculation, which we didn't really talk about. So what we're trying to do is preserve the year in 2021. We don't need to have it as 2020. We don't need to have it as 2021. We have it as 2020 because there's a +1 in the formula, and we don't discuss this in level 1. So you're just going to have to believe me that, it's not wrong if you put 2021 in, but it's better to put in 2020, especially if he buys another house. Because basically, you can't have two houses. If he goes and buys another one, he can't have the principal exemption applied for two houses. So that's how we get around it. Again, that's going to be a level 2. All right, good. Okay, so now we're ready to do the exercises, so the practice problems. So I know we had practice problems from last class and somebody had some questions. So I think it was the one number 3. I think it was the problem number 3. So basically what I would do if we were in the office, in class, in person, basically we just say, just work on the problems. If you have any questions, ask me. I'm here till 12 o'clock. All right. So if you want me to bring up the chapter review problems from last time, I know somebody said there was 16.3. I know 16.2 was a bit of there were a lot of T4 slips in there. I did give everybody the refunds, right? I can certainly bring up Sylvia Casper, who was 16.3. Somebody said that it didn't work properly, or so. If you want me to bring it that up, so anyway, so basically, oh, man wants me to show the comparative summary. Did I miss that? Which one do you want me to do for Dave? Okay, so we'll bring it up. So let's go back to Dave for just a moment, and we can see his comparative summary. Basically, because remember we had done Dave in 2020, and we did his return in 2021, we can see a comparative summary, and it shows his tax returns for 2 of the 5 years here, because we haven't inputted his 17, 18, and 19. This is very useful in the office, because somebody will say, how come I'm getting so much less of a refund this year? Why do I owe money this year? It's very helpful to be able to see that. I mean, part of his refund in 2020 was the climate action, and now it's not being paid on here. So this is a very good tool to share with it. Somebody said had problem in 16.4. Okay, well, we can go to 16.4. I know somebody had said whoever it was that had the problem with Sylvie Casper, can you let me know, because of the chat, I'm looking in the chat and I can't. Somebody said here that they had trouble with that one. Just a moment, I'm just going to go back through the chat to see somebody had a question about that. Oh, there's so much in the chat here. So let me see, who was it here? I'm just going, who was it? Oh my goodness. Man, do you remember who it was that had the question about it? Oh my goodness. Here we go. I'm going way, way back.
Sorry.
What's that?
If you go to the end of the chat.
Okay, data entry she kept getting. Okay, somebody, Kieran said on line 222. Okay, so line 222. So let's go look at line 222. What do you get here? 22222. This here is the data. Here's the tax return for Sylvie Casper. So Sylvie Casper. So I'm not sure. Anyway, so this is the data entry for Sylvie Casper. If you want to just look and take a picture and compare yours, because I don't know, you didn't get the refund amount, Karen. Yeah. So what was your question about this? Oh, you already did. You already did what? You took care of it? It's already, we don't need to talk about it, Karen? Okay. In 16.3, I had all the data correctly getting 3 online. However, you share calculator doesn't have that. So can you see what mistake I'm making? 357.20 online. Okay, I don't see that line here, 222. So are you sure you've got the right line number there for Sylvie Casper? You said you get all the data correctly, but get 357 on line 22200. I don't see anything on line 22200. So what line is that? Let's look at that because I can't remember line numbers here. It's 22. Oh, you're saying
the support payments.
There were support
sorry,
payments.
The reduction of CPP contributions.
So what that tells me is that the data entry is not correct. So let's go back to Sylvie's data entry. Oh, first of all, she is a first-time first year. Let me just go look here. So there's the data entry. I believe that if you look at one of her T4s that has exempt CPP, so maybe this is the data entry for Sylvie Casper. So if you want to just double check that. So here, let me bring Sylvie Casper here.
Yeah.
So Sylvie Casper, so I think that what's incorrect is that you haven't put her data in. So what they're trying to say here is that she turned 18. So one of the T slips, how to enter box, there's nothing to enter box 28. You just go and pull down the menu. She's exempt CPP. So you have to do exempt CPP. That's what her T4 says. All right, so do you got that, Kieran? It has to be exempt CPP. Because what they're in this problem, she turned 18. So this income is exempt from CPP, but the Easy Mart income is not. So, Tiram, once you select exempt and you just go to the pull-down box, you don't select not exempt, you select exempt CPP. So once you have exempt CPP, you should get the same number. You should get nothing. There shouldn't be anything on deductions for CPP. There isn't a deduction there. All right, good. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next. People had problems with 16.4, Ashley Bennett. So let me bring up Ashley Bennett, and let's look at the data entry. Here is the data entry for the foreign property. All right, so everybody follow through. Let me see. Paul said he had trouble. Yeah, okay, so here it is. So basically in this situation, it says, let's look at the problem. She purchased a piece of land in Michigan for the equivalent of $135 Canadian because she considered moving back and building her dream home and finding a job in the States. Instead, she stayed here, abandoned it. She didn't sell the property, and she's just been holding the property. So basically, does she have to file a T1135? Yes. And what does she have? She has U.S. property, and it's worth $135. So she can do the simplified. So we're going to go into the foreign, into the T1135 and select T1135 foreign property simplified. There we go. All right. We're going to do a complete statement, so go yes. Not an amended return, just go no. Individual code, her code is 2. And then we need to select the property type. So the property type, it's not funds, it's not shares, it's not indebtedness, it's not interest, it's real property outside of Canada. So you select real property outside of Canada. Then they want to know the country code. Now, because so much property, so many property that Canadians own could be American, they put U.S. at the top. Select U.S. Then it wants to know, is there any income? Well, she doesn't rent the land out. She's not making money, so the income is going to be zero, and there's no capital gain and loss because she actually hasn't sold it. So this should be the correct data entry for Ashley Bennett. So, Paul, is this the data entry that you have, or do you need to make a change to your data entry? So, Paul, I'm just waiting in the chat. Okay, yeah. So if you could just maybe, I'll leave this on for a minute. Make sure you put that in. I'm just going to go and look at the foreign property statement for Ashley. So I'm going to go and look at it. And then I get that error message. It says here, to transmit a T1135, please select T1 emission. We don't have to do that because we're not doing that in the office. So just go continue calculating. Let's look at the foreign income verification statement, and certainly we've seen it before. It says we're filing for this taxation year. The total property is between a 100 and 250, and basically we've selected real property outside of Canada. It's from the U.S. and there's no income. That's it for the T1135, right? Because we're not doing detailed, we're doing simplified, and then the client would have to sign on the last page. So I'll go back to the data entry there, and this should be the correct data entry for the T1135. So hopefully everybody who had problems with it, this is the correct data entry. All right. Now, I just want to point out that the practice problems for 17, for this chapter 17, 17-2 and 17-4 involve the carry forward of a tax return. So when you're looking at those problems, if there's a 2020, you'll have to do the 2020 first, and then it will carry forward the information. Yeah, so if you look at practice problem 17-2, Carl has not filed his tax return for 2 years, and he wants you to file his 2020 and 2021. So I'm going to go to 2021 and 2020. All right. All right, so this is the part of the program. We don't have enough time to take up the theory exam. I'm hoping we can do it on, we'll do it on Thursday. And so basically continue on with the problems for 17. I'm going to be here, Man and I are here till noon. So start getting work on them, and we can answer your questions. It's, really much TPS is about practicing, right? It's just practicing. And if I was in the office, basically I'd be walking around answering your questions. So please ask any more questions of Man and myself, and we and do the practice return. If you don't want to, I was in a class on, I'm taking my advanced tax class on Saturday, and basically the instructor said, well, you can all leave if you want. I'm going to be here for the next, till the class ends, and just ask me your questions. So what I am going to do right now is I'm going to prepare all the refunds, because I know I did, I'm going to do it on the whiteboard, and I'll show you the refund. So, but just give me a minute to get all those numbers. Where did you enter the first time option for Ashley? Yeah, so for Ashley, it's actually, it is, yeah, I'm still in Ashley, not mailing address. It is under, not under accountant. Did it disappear on me? Oh my God, you know what? I'm just going to go out and back in again for Ashley. Why did it disappear? Huh. It wasn't accountant. It was other personal information, actually. I don't know why it's gone. Anyway, it was here, and it was other personal data. So select other personal data, and then into other personal data, it's the first year. So you go yes. This used to cause an e-filing error. It's not critical in a student environment, but you really need to, when it's first-time filing and you get an e-file error, this means first year filing a tax return. Usually most of the software programs do ask that. Problem 17, where do we input box 211 from the T4A? Okay, so 17.1, That's Dolman. So let me go to Dolman here. I'll type in Dolman. Oops. There we go, Brad Dolman. And Abby's asking about the T slips, the T4A. So basically, these are all these slips. Oh, these are just a nightmare. It's actually in other income. So the T4A again. So if you're looking at your T4 and your T4A and you can't find the box, go find the one that has the little plus. So if you click on the little plus, you'll see all the different choices here. All right. So basically, when students have scholarship income, it's box 105, and in this case, we have 211. There is 211 here. So in the Brad Dolman problem, we have the T4A, and it shows 211. So can you see that, everyone? So basically, when you can't find something, look into, like the box isn't here, look in the footnotes or look in other income and 28 plus. You get really good at this after a while. You're like, oh, it's in the plus. And then you look at all the choices that you can make here. And we will be doing more of these as we go on. This is the first time that you've seen that. So it's box 211 here, box 2011, and there it is. No, it's not, Abby. No, some things are not. Some things about the software just don't make sense. I know. And you know what? You can see what they've done when COVID hit. Oh, my God, they've made so many adjustments to the T4As, and there's so many extra box numbers, and it's just crazy nuts. All right, Bonnie. Okay, so now going to try to, so how do I make the screen bigger so I can actually see the boxes? Right here, right at the very top, you see that there's a magnifying glass. So I can make it really small. Notice how small I'm making it. Oh my God, I couldn't read this. Oh my God, look at it. Look at how small it is. Okay, so now we're gonna magnify it, right? So magnify it. I basically, it's at the maximum magnification. So again, use the little magnifying. So at least that makes sense, right? Oh, I have to make this bigger. I'll use a magnifying glass, right? So yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to go to the bathroom so Man can answer your questions for while I'm gone. But you know, continue on with the practice problems, and I will I will be writing out all the refunds that we need for practice problem 17, so I can share that with you, and I will like right now, and I will share it with you through email. All right, so I'll just be right back. So Man, you can take the helm right now. Sure. Okay, thanks.
So this is the default that we get, Zinjun. So you can change that to the province. The default of the review problems, they come preloaded with Alberta as the province. So this is why when you look at the T4 slips in the review problems, they show us the tax for the different provinces. So you can change that to Ontario, for example. But because I think the Tax Academy is based in Alberta, everything is set to Alberta. Okay, so if you go to Preferences, Michael, on the top, you can see they are on different sections. You can see the user defaults, which will show you if you set the province and the city. The other provinces is on the lower tab, which is the user interface, and this is where we set the different colors and whether to capitalize or not to capitalize and so on. But there is no one single page that shows you all of the settings. Problem 17.1. Let me just bring 17.1. Brad Dolman. Where do we put T4A box 2? So if you go to other income, wage-in, if you go to other income under the T4A, and then you can find box 211 towards the end. Intelligence in section CPT20 in error. If you go to that section and you can press Control backspace, it will delete the whole section. Is box 22 correct? Liana?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I think the display that you have it is for province Alberta.
Oh, yeah. Sorry,
so
you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? You're right. I thought I changed it, but anyway, you're right. I haven't looked at this before yet, and we're in Alberta, and so the fit will be incorrect. So let me put in the fit.
And can you show Cecile how to delete a section?
Yep. A second here. So let me just go to this one here, and I will adjust these ones. I haven't had a chance to do. I didn't get this far in my other class, right? So in this case, we have the local mining company, and it should be 16522.92. All right, so that should be Dolman, right? And so there shouldn't be any difference in the T4. So the T4A shouldn't be any difference. Okay, so
did you change the top, the province?
Nope, not yet, but I will. Yeah, I did. Okay. This is the annoying part about, there we go, Hamilton. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to do this because I didn't do it last night. So what do we have here? So now we have the province postcode are inconsistent. I don't care. All right, so what do we have for the balance? All right, so I'm just going to put this in here. Yeah, see, I have the wrong numbers, 2772, because it was for Alberta. Okay. All right, so what is the other question here? I see Michael said, is there a place for all the preferences we changed? Did you answer that?
Yeah,
Dan?
I did.
Okay,
just
good.
You can see Cecile's.
Yeah,
she
okay.
some information she wants to delete it.
How to get rid of it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so if you had enter in a section called CP20, so basically, I don't know what you did, but if you want to delete something, I'm just going to show you here. So basically, open up whatever it was, and then not the first data entry screen, go here. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go right-click, highlight, right-click, and we're going to go delete this keyword. So I'm going to delete this keyword, see? And so that's how I need to delete each keyword, each section by itself. So, Cecile, if you can try that. So that's how you get rid of it. But now I want to go put this in because I don't want it to not be here. So that should have been, what was it, 1120. So I still want the same response here. And I don't care about that. All right, so we still have the same.
Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so hopefully you can delete it that way, Cecile. The sledgehammer way of solving it, I don't know how much data entry you've put in, but one option you can do, and this is only in the student learning environment, you can go to the return, so you go out to the client list, And if you can't delete it the way I said, you can go in and delete this client. You will never be able to do this in the office. You can only do it in the learning environment. So if you can't figure it out, start from scratch. Just delete it and start again. But, that's our sledgehammer, our final resort. To delete keywords, you have to go in and go into the section and then just start deleting it, going, delete this keyword, and then you'll be able to, you're basically trying to clear all the boxes, and that's how, you can't clear it by just putting zeros in, you actually have to delete it. So hopefully that works for you. So I think what I'm going to do, because I didn't have a chance to do this in my last class, we have Brad Dolman, and I do know what he owes. So I'm just going to go in right now and change that information. So we have Gilmore here. So I'm going to find Gilmore and Gilmore, and make all those adjustments here. Enter Gilmore and change all of that. So it's all sitting at Alberta. Anyway, here, Hamilton and Ontario. Okay. Now, again, doesn't like the province because I didn't change the postal code, and I don't care. All right. So basically, for Carl, it's did I change the fit? So I have to go in and change the fit for Carl now. So that should be 32,7190. $32,790, and the T4A is 3. It should be. Huh. Am I not in the right problem here? Who is this? Oh, Gilmore. Okay, Gilmore. Okay, no, this is I put in the wrong amount here. It should be 4187. Different years, right? It should be 4187.61. All right, and he has the T4E, and that's right. Okay, so that's correct. So let's just make sure that I have all the information correct here. Burlington, Ontario. So again, it doesn't like that. Okay, and I can see for Gary Gilmore, the refund should be $322.26.
You have to do the 2020 as well.
Yep. I'm doing it. Yeah, I am going to do that, man. So thank you. You're just being a real old nag, aren't you? I'm used to doing the nagging.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're such an adorable nag. I love it. I love it. My husband, we complained about the coffee this morning, and he goes, you clearly have more Starbucks. He was just teasing me, and I go, and neither have you. So you were supposed to go in and do the 2020 return for a Gilmore. However, we can also look in the comparative summary, and we see his 2020 year, but we know it's going to be Alberta, right? So
it's not updated. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I'm going to go now, and I'm in him. I'm going to go to change the tax year, and here's his 2020 return. Let's open it up here. Gilmore. So I'm going to have to go in and change this also to Ontario, and we're going to have Hamilton and change Alberta. This is a pain in the butt. It's nice that they do this for me, but I think it'd be faster me just doing it on my own. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
It'd be faster. All right, so we have Alberta tax. I'm going to have to put in 3271.90. So 3271.90, and make sure his mailing address has Ontario. It does. Okay, so for his for him, so here we have the 2020 of Carl Gilmore, and I have a refund of 1063.07. All right, and that makes sense. And there's climate action in this case. So now I'm going to go data entry. I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it and close. All right, so we have that for Carl. Now 17.4, I'm going to go to 17.4
Water
now.
bucket.
Yeah, no, he's 17.3. No, I thought that it was the 17.4 involves the 2020 return.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's McMahon, so it's MC Man. So here we are, and we'll go to Gloria, and I will adjust Gloria's also. So she is Ontario, climate action, and Ontario, and mailing address, and then her tax will be incorrect. She has not filed her 2020, so there's her 2020 tax is a little different here. It's 12,852.84. 12, and she had, there's no other, and we'll have to do her 2020. So let's look at her, whoops. Let's look her, again, warning because I didn't change this, her postal code. So what do we have for Gloria for her 2020? We have a refund of $427. So that's her 2020. Refund is $427.88. And then her 2021. So now I'm going to go into her 2021. I'm going to save and close, go to File, Save and Close. And now I'm going to go back to 2021. Change to 2021. And it's going to Gloria. Make sure, I don't think I've changed her stuff yet. She's still on Alberta. And here we go. And Alberta. It's too bad I could do this at home, you know, when I'm bored,
Yeah.
but I'm not in the office. Anyway, okay, so let's look at her, what was her taxes for here, so I have to change that. It's 15,672.10.
6 or 972.
Oh, sorry, did I add, oh yeah, sorry, 15,672.10, there. All right, so that should be, I think I've changed everything now, and we should get, continue calculating, and we have a refund of 1154. So we have a refund of 1154.60. There we go. All right. So I'm just making sure I've got all of the correct refunds. So we have Dolman. I just want to show, if you're still watching here, if you go onto the file, if you go to File, it shows the last returns that I've accessed. So that's another way of finding your returns. If you're, especially in the office, you know, you can look at your last 10 returns. So I'm going to go back to Dolman here. I can just go select it. So it's another way of doing a search here. So Dolman, and I did change him to Ontario side. That's correct. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to check out Gilmore. So I'm going to go back to Gilmore. So I'm going to go here, Gilmore, and I have 322, and then I have Ontario. So I have done that correctly. I did change that. Oh yeah, and it just a second. I'll answer your problems, Tira, in just a moment. I'm just checking that I've got the numbers. So I'm going to 17.3, and I'm going to 17.3 now. So that is wood bucket. There's Woody wood bucket here.
Water bucket.
Oh, was it water bucket, wood bucket, Woody? I was telling my husband last night, look at these crazy names. Woody water bucket. Okay, I live on a street called Water Bridge, so water bucket, Woody water bucket. Oh my gosh. Anyway, okay, so he's going to be Ontario, and then I'll just go to that problem here just a moment. So, and let's look at his mailing address.
Yeah.
That's that? Yeah, I'll get to that in just a moment. I'm just adjusting everything. So for Woody Water Bucket, I haven't had any clients with that name ever.
Yeah.
All righty. So here we have his, this is not right. We have to put the Ontario one in. And then we have...
The provincial credit. It's on the wrong province.
What is?
It says Nunavut. Provincial
oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Holy crap!
And then another one for Nova
a provincial credit. Where's the provincial credit for that here? That is bizarre. I'm just going to take that right out. I'm just going to take that out. That's just nuts. Here, delete. I don't know what that is. Delete. Yeah, I didn't put that in. That must be, we must be going back to it in another, yeah, so I'm going to take that out. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so all we have here is actually is T4, and I put in the correct, and then we do have the volunteer firefighter amount. So let's just see what number we're getting for that. Yes, you know what the problem with these things is they go back and they add things. And all right, so what I have here is three. Okay, so the refund here should be 336.14. Okay, so next question. And I'm just double checking that I have the correct information for Gloria, and then I have all the numbers for you guys. Gloria, where's Gloria? There we are, Gloria. And I'm not sure if I changed hers. Yes, Ontario, and we did put in her 15,672.10. Okay, perfect. All right, so good, and it's 115. Okay, the question, 17.3. So what do you want to know about 17.3? What do you want to know? Kieran? What questions do you have about it? Okay, so I think I have all the correct refunds. Oh, they actually have it all here in my instructor guide. Huh, okay. There we go. And Carl, he should be 10. Yep, okay, and 322, it should be, okay, and then Ontario should be 320. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so Tiram, 17.3. What are you asking about problem 17.3? Sorry, I can't hear you, man.
So that question was before you started doing it.
Oh, okay, because we had the Alberta numbers in there. Yeah, okay. I just have to remember to do that. Gloria, so we have her 2021, that's correct. And, luckily they do have it in the instructor guide. Okay, the refund, so in the case of 17.3, the refund is 336.14. Again, you know what? I'm not going to answer those questions about refund. I'm going to go to the, we only have like 8 minutes left, so I'm going to go to my whiteboard. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to go to my whiteboard, and I'm going to write them out for you, okay? So, so for 17, I will write them out right now, and I'm going to clear what I have here. There you go, there you go, there you go. So text, and let's go and let's do green. Okay, so for each of the problems, practice 17.1, we have Brad Dolman, and he has a balance owing of 2772.87. And then we have 17.2, we have Carl Gilmore, and in 2020, he has a refund, 2020, we have a refund of 1063.07, and then we have, tab, okay, so then we're going to go, sorry. 2021, then we have a refund of 322.26. 17.3, we have Woody water bucket. Woody water bucket. And he has a refund of 336 point. Oh, I had 14, didn't I? Yeah, 14. And then we have 17.4, and it's the Gloria return. Gloria McMahon, Gloria McCone or whatever. 2020, she has a refund of 427.88. And I should do it here. Refund here for 2021. Her refund is 1154.60. Actually, that looks like the dog's breakfast here, so let's put it here. There you go. Okay, so Zinjun Lu, there's your answers here. So that's what we have. So again, we have 5 minutes left. Write that out. I will be emailing everybody this, right? Please do the problems. And I know some people are a little put out, but you're not getting the whole solution. But really, doing the problems, Man and I have discussed this, and really, we did these courses for many years, and we never got any electronic solution. It's really important that you struggle through it, and if you don't, your numbers don't agree, then you go back to it, and then come back to me, and we'll look at the data entry. So, are there any problems anybody would like me to bring up? Basically, these are the solutions for Chapter 17, practice problems. So again, they're not giving us enough time for us to cover everything in class. So basically, we've discussed the data entry, and you can do it on your own. There just really isn't enough time to do it. And certainly, should you wish to, prepare for the next class, I would say, look at the problems. You can fill in the personal information. You can certainly start the practice problems if you want, but don't ask me any questions if you haven't covered it. You can start them, but we'll do the in-class exercise, and then we can talk about the practice problems after that. Could you do this for Chapter 16 too? Yes, I can. Actually, I do have those numbers, so if you want me to put it on here, I can certainly put it on here now. So let me go to 17 here. Okay, so I can certainly put it here, 16, and I did that last night for the class. So, and I realized I didn't do it last week, but I will definitely email it too. So let me find it on my phone, because I took a picture of it last night. Here we are here, and that was incorrect. Okay, so here, yeah, okay, so I will, oops, where is my 2016? Oh, there it is, okay. So Paul Little, just going to go back to Little and just confirm my numbers. There we are, Paul Little. Did we add more stuff to Paul Little? What do I have here? 1014. Yeah, okay. So the number we have ended up here is not the same. Okay, so I am putting in, I'll do it in a different color. Let's pick blue. I love blue, is my favorite color. All right, so we're going to do 16.1, and it's Paul Little. And he has a balance owing of 1704.93. All right. So 17-2-2020, Lorraine wants you to look at. So I just want to take a picture of this before I move on. So take a picture of this. I think I like the blue. It stands out a lot more, doesn't it? All right, there we go. All right, so she's not getting the correct data entry, so I'm going to go to 17.2 is Carl Gilmore. So I'm going to go to 17, change the tax year. I'm not, and I'll go to, okay, so here I'm going to, who was it again? Sorry, 17.2, which is Gilmore. All right, let's look at Gilmore. Okay, so I'm going to just share. I'm going to take this off here. I will come back to this, okay, and I'm going to go to, here we are, and there's Gilmore. So this is the data entry. So who asked for that? It was, okay, so we have Lorraine, 17.2. She's not getting the grid refund, and so let me have a look here. What am I getting for this refund? So let me just see, did I not put the correct information in? So let me look at my data entry. So let's go to Carl Gilmore, and I think that if you look at your data entry, there should be climate action. So if you don't have it, so Win Quinn Chen, the reason you don't is that mine has climate action on it. So because in 2020, the climate action was paid out. So for Carl Gilmore, I'm in Ontario. You have to be a province of Ontario, and you're going to, I selected Hamilton area. So if you're, so that could be it. The climate action, it would account for $300 of that. So if I take the refund and go 1063.07 and subtract what number you have, I have a difference here of $300.50. So 300 of that is the climate action. All right. So so Winchin climate action, and it looks like you have there could be a 50-cent data entry error. So I would double check double check the numbers. Okay, so can I just get a response from you, Win Quinn Chen, please? So you need to check that there's no climate action and it should be in 2020. So the reason is the 300 of your discrepancy between the calculated refund is climate action plus 50 cents. So I would just go in and just double check that you didn't put 50 cents in somewhere or something didn't add up. All right, so double check that, okay? Okay, so, 17.1, so we're good? Okay, so 17.1. So I'm going to go back to the tax year 2021. And anyway, if anybody has any other questions, I mean, we are done. I'm going to stop sharing just because we're going to stop sharing. I'll bring up that screen again. So for those of you, take a picture of it. I will be sending it by email, but those of you who are listening on the recordings, here are the results we expect for Ontario. I don't know if you're another province, you're not going to get the same numbers as myself. All right, so we're done today. So basically, for next class, let me see what it says in my PowerPoint. Just a thing here. All right, let's go. I'm looking at my last page of my PowerPoint. So what are we going to do for, oh, it doesn't even have it in here. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, here. So read the textbook, chapter 18. So if you have a chance to read it, good. And if you want to prep the questions with the personal information, although I wouldn't bother, I would just really focus on making sure that you've got practice problems 16 and 17 done, and then you can ask me questions next class. So are there any questions? Yeah, right, clear as mud. Yeah, you just got to practice, right? You know, Man and I have done this so many. We're just like it. We don't even know we know this stuff, right? But right, Man.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's very easy for us, right? These are relatively simple questions. However, it's all about practicing. Keep practicing, right? And it's all about making sure you're accurate data entry. A lot of times the differences are, just a data entry. You notice how I transpose numbers all the time, of course. Ray, I'm just making note here of your question, and I'll just research that and get back to you on the Thursday. And so the issues were the recording isn't here from last week, and then Ray has a question. So anyway, so I think we can stop the recording. I'm not sure if you've done that, Man, but we can probably stop the recording
It now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right. Okay, so any other, Dave,